He was once one of the most alpha dudes to walk the earth. A living badass if there ever was one. He was cool, mysterious, and a prime example of a gritty comic book hero done right. But Blade's time in the spotlight was soon to run out. For all good things come to an end. Or maybe that was all just the beginning. Maybe the future is bright after all.
Welcome to A Marvelous Life. Today, we're exploring a tale of rise, fall, and resurgence. A journey that mirrors the cinematic and comic book landscape it traversed. Blade was a personal favorite of mine growing up, partly because I've never seen a character so blatantly Giga Chad before, and also because my parents basically banned me from watching Blade 2 when it first released. Well, joke's on you, Mom. I still watched it, and I still have nightmares about it to this day. Quite honestly, Blade owned the early 2000s, even if that includes the embarrassment that was Blade 3. He was a character that most people didn't even know was a part of Marvel. I mean, how can this guy be in the same universe as these guys? Well, they weren't really part of the same universe, but that ends today. Blade is back, and he's bigger and better than ever. After 2 long decades of obscurity, the Daywalker is ready to walk again.
In the late 90s, a character leapt from the comic pages to the big screen, changing the superhero genre forever. That character was Blade, a vampire hunter with a unique heritage, brought to life with unforgettable charisma by Wesley Snipes. This was significant because, although Blade first appeared in 1973 as a character with a serious vendetta against vampires, he remained a fairly unknown face for the next 30 years. Sure, he appeared in a few comic books here and there, but he was criminally underused. That is, until New Line Cinema took the bull by the horns. You see, in the early 90s, Marvel was pretty much broke. This caused them to file for bankruptcy and begin selling off rights to its characters, anything to find some rent money. New Line Cinema decided that Blade seemed like a cool enough character and decided to give it a shot. Here's a random fact for you. The team behind the Blade films, that is, screenwriter David S. Goyer and actor Wesley Snipes, first decided to do a Black Panther movie. Not this type of Black Panther, but this type of Black Panther. Thinking back on it, bringing Wakanda to life in the 1990s would have been complete dog shit. So be thankful for the long wait. Anyways, in 1998, Blade was released. It got mixed reviews, but honestly, everyone who wasn't a critic seemed to love the movie. Hell, even this guy liked it. Donning the leather coat and sunglasses, Blade was transformed into a cultural icon. The blend of supernatural horror with comic book action really wasn't common at the time. It was groundbreaking, and completely predated the superhero boom that was soon to follow. The success of Blade spawned a franchise, with Blade 2 being released a few years later in 2002, and what do you know, an instant cult classic was born. Blade 2 was awesome in every conceivable way. It expanded Blade's universe and dove deeper into vampire lore. Not only did it have a young and jacked Ron Perlman, but also a young and kinda douchey Daryl Dixon. And nightmare fuel. Lots and lots of nightmare fuel. And then by 2004, it all comes crashing down. Blade Trinity was released, and it was awful. My god, it was awful. Blade 2 had an amazing cast, scary villains, and a fight scene to a Crystal Method song. I mean, how could you go wrong? Blade Trinity, well, it had Dracula. Yep, that's supposed to be the king of the vampires. Should've just stayed in prison, Dracula. The end of Blade wasn't near, it was here. Blade Trinity all but killed the franchise, and even a short revival in the form of a television show couldn't save the Daywalker from being staked in the chest. 2006 marked the end of the cultural icon in the mainstream. And sadly, it got worse from there. In the years that followed, Blade's presence in both cinema and comics diminished to nothing. Further complicating matters, Wesley Snipes faced personal and legal issues. Vampires may be functionally immortal, but they're not immune to tax evasion. He was still kicking around the comics universe, but in no meaningful way. He wasn't present in any big Marvel books, he was simply a lost soldier. The character, once at the forefront of a genre-defining franchise, seemed to have been relegated to the background. But no one stays in the shadows forever. With the release of Midnight Suns, Blade found his way back to the limelight after nearly 2 decades locked in the coffin. Although not commercially successful, it was a critical success and new life was breathed into the Daywalker. On the comic front, Blade also found a new resurgence thanks to Jason Aaron's 2018 Avengers series. After many long years of waiting, Blade was finally on the main roster of the Avengers, beside Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man. This was a huge deal because Blade sat on the rafters for nearly 50 years, rarely used in a meaningful way. But now, he was an official Avenger, which continued his rise in popularity. And not only that, it pushed the race of vampires further into the spotlight. Not only were the Bloodsuckers more prominent in this Avengers run, but so was Dracula, a supervillain that really hasn't done anything since his series from back in the 70s. And now, with Blade's popularity on a very sharp rise, it's likely Dracula himself will actually become more of a villain in the Marvel Universe. And it's only getting better from there. San Diego Comic-Con, July 2019, the moment Blade fans were waiting for. Blade was on his way into the MCU, and he would be played by Mahershala Ali, an Academy Award-winning actor and one of the 25 greatest actors of the 21st century, according to the New York Times. Yep, this guy was also a true badass and also a perfect choice to bring Blade back to life, and more importantly, he probably does his taxes. And if that wasn't enough, a new Blade game is in the works. Developed by Arcane Lion, the developer of the critically acclaimed and award-winning Deathloop and Dishonored series. Both games I absolutely played the shit out of. And if we learned anything from Insomniac Games' latest outings, it's that a Marvel game done right can absolutely blow our collective minds. The excitement for this game is palpable, and it came completely unexpectedly. And I, for one, will anxiously count down the days until it's in my hands. This recent Blade excitement is not just about nostalgia, it's about what Blade represents, a darker, more mystical side of the Marvel Universe. And this is exciting because it's a side of the MCU that's pretty unexplored. With Moon Knight and Werewolf by Night now residing in our favorite universe, it's looking more likely that we'll see more supernatural events on the big screen in the future. Blade's resurgence paves the way for other great characters to be introduced shortly, including my personal favorite, Ghost Rider. Although, to be completely honest, I would actually prefer Robbie Reyes' version. Regardless, Blade is coming back, and he's better than ever. The future is looking very bright for Blade, and that's a good thing, because they don't call him the Daywalker for nothing.
From a side character in a horror comic to a leading Avenger and a cinematic icon, there's no question that Blade has lasting appeal. And unlike many of the Marvel fans out there, I don't think he actually needs an R-rated movie to succeed. He just needs a good writer. A really good writer. Preferably not this guy. Blade's return is not just a comeback, it's a renaissance, and we can't wait to see where it leads. Just imagine, Blade, Ghost Rider, magic, all in a single movie. It's what dreams are made of. What are your thoughts on Blade's return? Are you excited for his new movie or his new game? Let me know in the comment section below what you think the resurgence of Blade means for the MCU. And of course, if you love Marvel content, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell icon for more updates. Till next time, I'm Nashology, and this is A Marvelous Life.